Hey everyone, this is John, developer of Dashcam Viewer, and today I'm going to give you a demonstration of some of the basic features of Dashcam Viewer, and then later on talk about some of the more advanced features. So here you see Dashcam Viewer running with some movies I have from a commute on the 405 freeway. And I'm going to go ahead and quit and start from scratch. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to quit, and here you have the Dashcam Viewer program. Now it runs the same way on both the Mac and PC. You double click on the icon, and you get your windows here. You get a Dashcam Viewer window, map window, dashboard, and graph window. Right now nothing's loaded. There's a couple of ways to load things. You can load movies through this toolbar button, Open Movie Folder, and that opens up a whole folder full of movies. Or you can choose Open Movie Files and select individual movie files from your Dashcam sequence. The same commands are available here under the File menu, or you can simply drag and drop your folder full of files, movie files, into the player window. And once you do that, they'll start playing. Okay, now that we have something going on in the main window, I'll show you some features of the main window. So first thing you notice is the speed up here and the date and time. You have a couple of scrubber bars. The first one is intra-movie scrubber, so you can go ahead and just go to any point in your particular movie you want to go to. This is an inter-movie scrubber, so you can go to a different movie. As you know, Dashcam records sequences of short movies, and you concatenate those together in Dashcam Viewer. So Dashcam Viewer handles that for you. It does the transition from movie to movie. And you notice everything's in sync. The graph, the map, and the dashboard, they're all in sync. You can jump one movie ahead quickly just by going like this, or one movie back, or 10 movies back. You can jump to a particular movie. Let's say I want to see what happened at 8:20 a.m. Go to here, and that's where I was at 8:20. You can go to, say, this Vmax, and that's the fastest point during the drive of the movies that are loaded. So this is where I was going the fastest in the particular drive sequence, and that was 69 miles an hour. You can turn on and off the volume here, or you can make it louder or quieter. Over here you can jump to the movie file in the Finder. You click on there and it shows you where that particular movie file is in the Finder or Windows Explorer. This button here allows you to save settings for that particular movie. I don't recommend that unless you know what you're doing, and generally you don't need that for dash cams anyway. You use that for quadcopter videos, which is another purpose of Dashcam Viewer. Okay, some more features I want to show you, maybe ones you didn't know. Let's say you go to a point where you're close to a car, and I haven't done this here, so let me just go find a car that I get close to. Go ahead and as we slow down here, I'm going to see if I can read this guy's license plate. Now I can't from here, but if you zoom in using the mouse wheel, now you can read this license plate. And you can do this while it's actually animating. You can move it around and look at different points in the movie blown up and figure out what's going on in different parts of your particular drive movies. So here I am. Now this doesn't quite have the resolution to get all the way in there at this resolution. So what I can do now is reset the view like this, and that brings me back to normal. There are a few settings for the main window. Let me just show you that. If you click on this preferences toolbar icon, I could change the aspect ratio here. So I can go fill or maintain. So this is the original, and this is just fill the screen. So if I go like that, I can scale it. It always fills the screen. Okay, but if I want to see the all the data that was recorded, I would do it this way. Okay, I'm going to put it back to fill. I like fill. And let it run. This button here is the toggle sync window movement, and what that allows you to do is move all the windows together as one. So right now you can see I can move these individually, and I'll get them lined up nicely here. But now when I click the lock button here, the sync button, you see the little lock close, and now when I move them, they all move together. Okay, now I want to move on to the map view. First thing you notice in the map is you have a place mark indicating the current vehicle position, and you have a color-coded route. The coloring corresponds to the vehicle speed, with red being slow and blue being fast. That color scale is controllable through the preferences. Now you can turn off the route by clicking on this route button here, turning off the route. You can turn on and off markers here. This shows the positions of when the next movie is about to start. These are the starting points for each movie in your sequence. I generally turn those off. Don't really need to see those. You can have the option to, if you zoom in here, you'll notice you can, as we jump to another movie, you can have the option to follow or not follow the vehicle. So if I decide not to follow the vehicle, then the little place mark moves and the map is static. Zoom out. And on the 405, it'll take quite a bit of time to get up to Hawthorne area. I'm going to go ahead and put back follow on. That way I'll always be centered at the vehicle position. Next feature I want to show you is the click to go. Click to go, if this checkbox is checked, allows you to click in the map and you'll go to that point in your drive. So here is a little bit of a red area. So something happened here. So if I click there or click near there, you can see jumps to that point in the movie sequence, and you can see there was a little bit of a bottleneck there in traffic. So I can just click to different points in the movie and jump to those. Makes it really easy to navigate through your sequence, find interesting things. Like here's a fast part of the drive, all relatively speaking. And just be sure if you're not using that feature to click it off. Otherwise, every time you click in here, you may jump to that point. You may not want to do that. So go ahead and have this off when you're not using it. The next feature I want to show you is the north up. Normally when you're driving, the maps are always north up, and sometimes that's useful. Sometimes you want it to be in the velocity direction or approximate velocity direction of the vehicle, because that's how the movie is taken. You're always driving in the velocity direction. So for example, if I go back, say about here where I'm going west, you notice here the dashboard is showing I'm going west. If I zoom in, it looks like I'm going off to the left here. But here it looks like I'm going sort of up or north. So if I click on this north up and deselect it, my map rotates so that it looks like now west is up. And so things that are on my right are on my right in the movie, and on my left in the map are on the left in the movie. Gives you a little more natural orientation. Okay, now I'm going to turn that feature off. So I'm going to go back and click north up, force the map into a north up orientation, zoom out a little bit. And just to let you know, you can change the style on these maps. So if you want, you can choose, say, instead of a hybrid, you can go to a road map. Maybe you're more comfortable with a road map. Or you can go to a terrain map, which there isn't a lot of terrain on this particular route. Go back to hybrid. You can switch to Bing Maps if you like Bing Maps better. Switch to Bing Maps, and when you do that, you must reload your movies in order to see your route. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. You notice my route's gone. I'm going to go ahead and click on this and just reload, and then I get my route back. And notice you have an additional option here under Style Auto, which means for Bing Maps, it's a road map when you're zoomed out, but when you zoom in, it becomes a satellite map. Moving on to the dashboard view, you see we have an analog readout of speed and a digital display here, and underneath that and elapsed distance display in miles. Now, if you don't like miles per hour units, you want to switch to kilometers per hour, you can just click the MPH here, a little label, and it switches to kilometers per hour. Now notice it switched it throughout the program. Notice it says jump to Vmax of 112 kilometers per hour here. In the graph on the Y scale, speed is in kilometers per hour, distance is in kilometers. I can go back and put it back to miles per hour. Just click on the button once more. To the right is a compass view showing the vehicle bearing. Now underneath there is a little hidden arrow. You can click on that arrow and a little widget will display the weather for that particular location at that particular day. So this was June 4th, 2014 in Southern California. I'm going to go ahead and click Get Weather. It tells me it was a clear day. There's no rain, no snow, no fog, 10-mile visibility. The high was 73 degrees Fahrenheit, the low was 60. And you can change the temperature units to Celsius or centigrade if you click on the preferences. Over here on the right is the latitude and longitude display. Now some dash cams give you additional information. So for instance, you may get the altitude or number of GPS satellites in view or GPS accuracy. This particular dash cam is a Mini 0801. It doesn't record that data in the record. However, in fact, I'll show you a BlackVue DR400 2-channel camera. Let's see, this one does record those extra metrics. And here you'll see, yeah, see when you do that and load a camera that has those metrics, you see now we have altitude, number of sats in view, and GPS accuracy. So if I zoom in here, I see I'm going around a roundabout or traffic circle. Also notice this camera is a picture-in-picture, front and rear 2-channel camera. And I can zoom in and out independently the 2 channels. So here's the rear, here's the front. And if I kind of mess it up and I want to get back to where I was, I can just click this button here and get it back to the way it was, with the main view being the front view and the rear is here. Now the temperature of this particular location was only 54 degrees for the high and 35 for the low, and there was fog. And this is in I believe this is in Great Britain. If I click on the little arrow one more time, it tells me the date. It was the 18th, which was a Tuesday. Moving on to the graph window, you can see our various metrics are plotted here, and this particular camera records quite a few metrics. It includes altitude, HDOP, and sats in view, number of satellites in view. And we have this button here to auto scale, so you can scale it to the particular range of the data itself. So this one, I believe, is scaled to 60 miles per hour. Now to control the number of ticks, you can do that as well. There's 2 ways to do that. You can click on the preferences and go right to that particular graph, like the speed graph, and change the number of ticks or change the maximum minimum here of the y-axis. Clicking auto scale will get you back to the appropriate Y max, but you can also use I think the 3 and 4 keys. There's 3 and 4 to control the number of ticks. I'm going to show you what happens if we go ahead and load going back to my Mini 0801 dash cam, and you'll see that some of these graphs will disappear. Here we go. Yeah, so now we only have speed, distance, I'll auto scale that, bearing, and g-forces. Now there's a number of shortcuts in the program. You can get to those through the help menu. This shows you where those keyboard shortcuts are. There's quite a few of them. For instance, the player window, move forward 1 frame or back 1 frame with the arrow keys. So if you're in the player window, you want to sneak up on the action or hold it down, you can go back and forward with the keyboard. Some other shortcuts are zooming with the Q and E, or translating with the inverted T WASD configuration. Pause and resume with the space bar. And there's some other ones here as well. The user's manual is also available. Just click on user's manual, you get a PDF version of that. Okay, now I'm going to show you some of the more advanced features. These are mainly data export features, so let's go ahead and check those out. So first of all, if you click on export to CSV, click there, and navigate to a directory. I'll just put it in this Dashcam Viewer folder, call it export, and I'll export all my GPS data. So I'll go ahead and look at that on the desktop, and I have an export CSV there. I'll hit the spacebar and display. Here we have the file name, date, time in both local and UTC, latitude, longitude, speed, distance, bearing, and the G-force data. So you could load that into Excel or some other program for further data analysis. Another option is to export as GPX file. This is more of a data interchange file for GPS data. Say export, and that makes it XML file. You can load that into gpsvisualizer.com or even Google Earth, and Google Earth will visualize that. However, there's another option for Google Earth called KML export. So if you export to KML, I'll go ahead and do that, save. And then you get a export KML file. I'll double click on that, and that loads Google Earth and shows our route. Okay, and here's our route, and it's marked with every movie, which is every minute. You can see where I've traveled and how fast I get where I'm going based on these minute markers. Okay. You can export to PNG. So if this, if you want to get an image here, you want to capture this for some reason, you can say export to PNG. It says note PNG files are saved to the desktop. So I go to the desktop and look. Let me hide this. And I have something here. It says a movie at a particular time for, it's like 43.12 seconds. And there's my screenshot from that movie. I'll get rid of that and go back into Dashcam Viewer. You can export little movies as well. So if there was some kind of action you wanted to record, you wanted a little clip, just maybe say right here, you can say, click on this movie, enter a duration, maybe 5 seconds, and a location, hit choose, and it's done. Now you just say export complete, movie is created, reveal in Finder. Click yes, and it shows you where the movie it is that it created. Double click on that, and now we have a little fragment from that particular part of the drive, 5-second fragment. Okay, get rid of that. You can also merge movies. So if you click on this merge multiple movies into one option, it says, okay, which movies is the first and which movie is the last. So maybe I'll merge from 218 to movie 221. Click merge movie, and I'll put it again in that folder. It'll be called merge Dashcam movies. Hit return. And it's done. Merge complete. File created, reveal in Finder. I'll say yes. And here's a merged movie, which is actually, should be about 4 minutes long. So 4 movies combined into one. Now when you do this, you do lose the GPS data. If it's embedded in the movie, you will lose that. But it has the whole, you can put your whole trip into one movie if you want to this way. Get rid of that. Cancel. Finally, I want to show you some of the preferences. So if we go up here, you can choose preferences either from the menu, or you can click on this little gear. We'll go ahead and click on that and see what the options are. There's some settings for the clock. You can bias the clock by a certain number of hours to compensate for, say, daylight savings time if it's not taken into account. Time zone offset, that's for aligning the GPS data with the movie. I do recommend you leave this always auto fix time zone offset checkbox checked for normal use. Speed units, you can choose kilometers or miles per hour here. Altitude units in meters or feet. Temperature in degrees C or degrees F. Movie sequencing by date or by name. When you load a set of movies, it's going to sequence them by date, but sometimes the creation dates are not in sequence. In that case, you can load them by name, and as long as their names are in sequence, they'll load in sequence correctly. You can do this maintain or fill for the viewer window. And I want to show you some of the language settings. Now, by default, it's English for this area, but I could choose a different language, say like Russian. And it says, please restart Dashcam Viewer after changing language. So I'm going to say OK, go like this, quit. I'm going to reload Dashcam Viewer. And I don't know if you can see this, but it did make everything now in Russian. Okay, so, and it also sort of reset my positions of my windows too when you change the language. But notice everything here is in Russian, even the menus. And I do appreciate the help from you folks out there in the Dashcam world for helping me with all these translations. I'm going to go ahead and switch it back to English. Or actually, I'm going to put it on the default. And quit. Restart. And it should come up with, as long as you have one of these languages, it could, as long as you use one of these languages, it should come up in your language of your region by default. So if not, you can override that here. And there's about 8 languages you can choose from. The map options, here's where you can control the color scale. So let me go ahead and load some data again. So you notice this color scale here, which is matched on the map. It's also on the graph. You have some options here to change the number of colors that are used. If you don't want to use any colors, you know, here it's all red. Here I'm using 5 colors, 10 colors, or 14 colors if I want. I'll go back to 10. Vmax color is based on the fastest speed on that particular drive, or you can pick a fixed speed. So if you want to say 87 miles an hour is my blue color, then you can do that as well. And that's about all for today. Thank you for watching, and feel free to visit us at dashcamviewer.com. You can download the software, both the Mac and the PC version. Try it out. And feel free to email me if you have any questions, john@earthshinesw.com.